All right. Peace and blessings, family. Peace and blessings. All right, this is your man, Jakim Muhammad, with the Hard Talk with Jakim. Let me reintroduce myself. I am Jakim, the Truth Muhammad, bringing it to you straight from Wilmington, Delaware. And my shout out to all places seen and unseen. Yes, we've got it. This is a Friday for us. Yeah, I'm using a different mic today, so I'm going to kick it on old school. I'm going to kick it like the old MCs do. So, I'm a child of hip-hop, child of R&B, and all that other good stuff. So we just going to kick it to you. So we got a lot to talk about today. Today being Friday, October the 8th. That is correct. Friday, October the 8th. You're right. This is the last quarter. Now, if you're business people out there, you should know this by now, but this is the last quarter for the year, and it is time for you to get your stuff together. So not only business people, but everybody, regular folks too, get your stuff together. This is that time. Yes, this is the Hard Talk, the home of the free thinkers and the doers. We have a great show, and so listen, I got to do some house cleaning first. I got to tell you about some other stuff, so bear with us. We're going to be right back with the Hard Talk with Jakim.
Peace and blessings. This is Jakim from the Hard Talk with Jakim show. Listen, I have to do the thing about the copyrights that we're using it for a fair use. So here it goes. United States Code Title 17, Copyright Chapter 1, Subject Matter of Scope of Copyright, Section 107. We're using it for fair use for criticism and commentary and also news reporting. So anything that we put on here, we're actually invoking the fair use of the United States Code.
Peace and blessings. This is Jakim Muhammad from the Hard Talk with Jakim. Listen, not everybody can get on the Hard Talk with Jakim show. Listen, buffoons, sellouts, Negro manager, Negro puppets are forever banned. But you, my precious, you can get on. This is how you get on. You contact us at btom6164 at gmail.com. That's BTHOMP 6164 at gmail.com. Make sure you have something to talk about that's about power economics and the collective uplift of black folks. Peace and blessings, y'all. All right, y'all. So we're back here. I'm just chilling out today. I got my cup of tea here. Got the tea. Got the green tea, y'all. So, I'm getting it in. So, listen, we got a couple of things that I got to get to today that is important that happened this past week. So, we might as well just jump right into the mailbag. But before we do that, let me give you this real quick, y'all.
We'll be right back with the Hard Talk with Jakim.
Look closely. Does anything jump out? We've been fighting for years in the streets, in our communities, to put black people on Delaware's courts. But the Chancery Court is still all white. When I talked to President Biden, he told me he would put court diversity front and center on the national stage, and he has. But in Biden's home state of Delaware, leaders talk about diversity while nothing actually changes. I've offered to meet with the governor and state leaders over and over with no success. Even the state's Judicial Diversity Task Force refuses to meet with me because in Delaware, who you know still matters more than what you bring to the table. So I'm bringing my message to you, the people. No more talking. We need action. We need diverse courts now. Paid for by Citizens for Pro-Business Delaware.
All right, y'all, listen. Not only is that non-paid for, but I'm a non-paid endorsement of it. I endorse everything that Brother Al Sharpton says in there because I endorse it because I live in Delaware. And if you're black folk and you live in Delaware, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And if you're black folk and you live someplace else, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It doesn't have to be just Delaware. It could be all over. Believe you me. You know what? I'm going to get rid of this mesh so y'all can see me now. So, yes, this is what's going on in Delaware, in our state, in the first state, in the second smallest state in the union. So let me just give you this. Also, if you want to get in contact with the Hard Talk with Jakim, or you want to get in contact with me, Jakim Muhammad, you can reach me at The Real Jakim on Instagram and Twitter at The Real Jakim. Catch us on a Hard Talk on Facebook. And always Delaware Info Now. That's Delaware Info Now on YouTube. You can see past shows, past guests, past stuff, all the good stuff. So, all right, you know what we're here to do? We're here to change the false narratives that are being popularly accepted. We're here to change all of that stuff. We're here to inspire people that don't usually get inspiration. So usually we started off like we always do. We start off light and then we get heavy. So since I'm going to start off light, I want everybody who hears the sound of my voice or see me, I want you to go and check out Conor McGregor when he threw out the first pitch like a week and a half ago. Now, I don't know if you know this, but I used to play basketball, football, baseball, all of that stuff. You know, I grew up in that type of time when a black person who was over 6'2" tall, you had to make sure that you were into all the sports. So I grew up in that time, so I played all the sports, and one of the sports I loved to play was baseball. And when I saw Conor McGregor throw out that baseball pitch, and it went hard left, no, it went hard right. And it didn't even go nowhere near the catcher that was at home plate. I said, Lord, 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 what are these people doing? What are we doing here? When they told you you're going to throw out the first pitch, at no time did you think you should be practicing the first pitch? At no time? I know y'all going to say this. I know there's people out there right now that are going to say, well, did you see the one that 50 Cent threw out? 50 Cent was embarrassing. I think there was a mayor. I'm not sure if he was the mayor of Cleveland. He was embarrassing. Jerry Seinfeld, when he threw out the first pitch, was embarrassing. For a guy who claimed to be a Mets fan and claimed to be a baseball fan and grew up in New York and probably played stickball. I don't know. He probably played stickball just like everybody else. That's why I'm starting off light. We're going to talk about baseball. I love baseball. I've always been a fan of baseball. And right now, since we're in the playoffs, my Yankees did not make it. And neither, since I'm in Delaware, neither did the Phillies didn't make it. At least the Yankees went to a one-game, whatever. They were disappointing. If you was betting on the Yankees, and they were a favorite this year, if you was betting on the Yankees, they were a disappointment. But I told you I'm going to start off light. You know I'm into my heaviness, but I'm going to start off with light. So, again, if you're throwing out the first pitch, I don't care where you're throwing out the first pitch. It could be a minor league stadium. It could be a major league stadium. Try to get some practice in. When Conor McGregor threw that first pitch out, it looked like crap. It was terrible. It was embarrassing. Whether we go back to Conor McGregor or 50 Cent or that black mayor or Jerry Seinfeld or anybody else, if you're going to throw out the first pitch at a baseball game, I would like for you to throw it out like Simone. Now that was throwing out the first pitch. Yes, I ain't saying that you got to do a twisty somersault in the air or the 6-point landing or whatever type of land. I'm not saying that. But do not. I want you to Google it. If you want to have a good laugh, if you want to say, Lord, why was that suit so tight and you were throwing out the first pitch? Go check out the MMA star Conor McGregor, UFC star, throw out the first pitch a couple of weeks ago. It was funny. All right, y'all. So I started off nice and light. Now we're going to get into some heavy stuff. And yes, we're going to get to stuff that really matters. I just wanted to start off with y'all a little light.
Don't begin. Don't begin.
Oh, yeah. Oh, man. Let me tell you something. Some of the most important movies of the last 20 years. Now, the reason why I'm saying that is because we all know that Hollywood does a manipulation and has done manipulation for over 100 years, and especially when it comes to black folk and the black diaspora on film. They manipulated, and of course, they catered to and bowed down to the dominant society. But here's where I'm going at with this. If you did not see those movies, and I know the first one, I guess, kind of was a B movie, wasn't expecting to make, it's called The Purge. The Purge movies. If you have never watched any of the Purge movies, you should watch the Purge movies. We already knew what the Purge, and when I say we, I'm talking about black folks in America, black folks around the world. We already knew what the Purge movies was all about. We already experienced that. Our forefathers and mothers have experienced it, and so on and so on. But a lot of people thought that the Purge was specifically for a group. No, it's not. It's for whoever doesn't fit the mold. Whoever doesn't fit. And whoever doesn't fit the mold today is not the same people that might not fit the mold tomorrow. Or if you fit the mold today, you may not fit the mold tomorrow. That's the reason why the Purge movies were, to me, more of a statement than just entertainment. Oh, it's a horror film for all you people that love to do the horror things, whether you love the Walking Dead or the Halloween. Yes, that's right. We're in October. So, we've got all of these. Me, I'm a Godzilla fan. Horror movies, I can watch them, laugh at them. I literally watched The Exorcist about 25 times in my life, and every time it's just funny. That sounds like Beetlejuice, but he's right. The Exorcist was a funny movie. I just could not believe in that, and blah, blah, blah. But other people take it. I thought Jaws was a little even more scarier than that, but what can I say? To each his own. But we're in Halloween, and whether you celebrate Halloween, whether you believe it's a pagan holiday, and sure enough it is, let's not tell the truth. It is a pagan holiday. It's what it is. But whether you celebrate it or not, I don't really care because it don't bother me. I'm on that as long as you don't bother me and you're a good person. As long as you ain't in your house eating people and raping people and molesting, live and let live. But that's the problem. Most people don't live and let live. Most people don't want you to do what you want to do, even if it doesn't affect them. They want to manipulate you so that they can keep a higher hand on you. Yeah, it's what the dominant society does. All right, y'all, I'm going to be right back with you. Just check this out real quick.
Can black people be racist? A favorite tactic of white supremacists is to call black people racist for speaking about race in a way that makes them uncomfortable. According to Merriam-Webster, racism essentially has two definitions. First, your garden variety racism, the belief that one race is genetically superior to another. The reality is that it would be highly unlikely in the world in which we live for a black person to harbor the belief that their race is inherently superior. Whiteness tends to be generally celebrated in many cultures, while blackness is often reviled. Many black people spend a lifetime trying to unlearn these preconceptions of the inferiority of their race.
Well, these preconceptions are made in the media, they're made in movies, they're made in that. But remember, this is Halloween, this is October. So we also, whether you celebrate it or not, and I'm going to tell you, like I told you before, believe it or not, you don't have to. Halloween is a pagan holiday. Let's not mince any truth. We don't mince truths here on the Hard Talk. Now, we are going to talk about Delaware, and we're going to talk about Wilmington, Delaware, in particularly this time, and then we're going to go on to the national stage. Man, we got a lot to talk about. I got to talk about Dave Chapelle. I got to talk about HBCU funding through the Biden administration. We got a whole bunch of stuff like that. But let me just tell you this. The one thing that we are going to talk about is Wilmington came out in the national news this week. If you did not see Forbes magazine, if you did not see the New York Times, Wilmington, Delaware made the national news. Let's be honest, We have a Democratic mayor, we have a Democratic governor, and we have a Democratic president from this state, Delaware. So in Wilmington, Delaware, they were taking people's cars. The city was scrapped her car. The article has that the city scrapped her car over a handful of tickets and left her nothing but a bill. Yeah, it's a funky thing that they were doing here in Delaware, and they continue to do it. You would get these tickets, whether they're real or not, whether they're imaginary or not, and then some private tow company were taking your cars. Now, let me just say this and let me be clear. Your man, Jakim Muhammad, the Hard Talk with Jakim, talked about this in 2017, in 2016, in 2018. No, I didn't talk about it in 2019. And 2020, we didn't talk about it. And yet, it has not been fixed. Now, there's a Democratic mayor here in Wilmington, Delaware. There's a Democratic mayor, supposedly Democratic, and yet he will not fix this. And let's be honest, and let me tell you the whole truth. There were Democratic mayors before him that did not fix this. Now, as a Democrat and as a former chairman of the 16th RD Democratic Committee, I'm going to tell you, I was embarrassed by that. And embarrassed now that it's made national news. It made the Philly news. You know, in Delaware, we get out, especially northern Delaware, we get most of our news from Philadelphia. We're in the Philadelphia market. So now it's made the national news. I mean, when I saw it on Forbes, and I saw it on Forbes a couple of days ago, and no, I think I didn't see it on Forbes. It had to be Wall Street Journal. Wilmington contracts with 2 companies for towing services last year. One company alone nearly took 1,000 or more than 2,500 cars it towed. I mean, they're taking these people's cars and they weren't illegally parked or they had something else. They were getting a raw deal on the towing. This is happening in Wilmington. And yet I hear nothing here in Wilmington about why we should get rid of, why we should still have that mayor. If you go in New York, you're going to hear about de Blasio this, de Blasio that. I know it's an election in New York, and it's not an election here in Wilmington, but this mayor has been terrible for poor people in this city. Oh, yeah, he'll give you the HBCU week, and they'll have some dancing and shucking and jiving. And down at our minor league park, the Blue Rocks, big shout out to the Blue Rocks, love them to death. They'll have that minor league, they'll have that stuff, and they have some other HBCU things. It almost like when politicians come to Harlem or come to Brooklyn or come to your church and rub the Millie Rock and take a knee every time it's time for election, and you can't get anything else from them. That's what they'll do. But yet I hear nothing about this mayor has not been good for Wilmington. This administration, the city's administration in Wilmington, Delaware, is terrible, horrible, disgusting. And if you don't know, I want you to check out some of our old stuff on the Hard Talk with Jakim. Either you can check it out on Facebook or you could go to our YouTube page with Delaware Info Now. Yes, they are horrible. It has been a horrible administration, and it doesn't matter for whether they are a Republican administration or a Democratic or independent. We're going to call it what it is. And that's our problem in the black community. A lot of us don't want to call what it is. We want to have so much white acceptance. Or when white people say you're good, that means you're good. I got a lot of white people watch me. They love me. I love them because I hate nobody. I think the best thing I heard, I can't remember who said it. It might have been Brother Eddie Glaude. I'm not Eddie Glaude Jr. It might have been him. But It might have been some other scholar that happened to be black. And the lady asked him, "Are you a racist?" And he said, "No, I ain't a racist. Not at all. In fact, I love everybody. I am a realist with what you doing to the folks." So again, here in Wilmington, Delaware, I'm going to say it one more time. Wilmington, Delaware. This is where our president was actually politically here in Wilmington. I think it was city council at one time. So yeah, this should not be happening. They should not be taking people's cars illegally. They should not be profiting from them. And well, listen, you don't even want to know. I want you to check it out. We'll put it in the chat a little bit later on where you can read the article. In fact, Forbes did a nice article on it. It's very good. You can see a couple of people who had their cars sieged that were not afforded their due process under the 14th Amendment. I'm not a lawyer, but y'all got to check it out. All right, so listen. Big shout outs to all those people. And that's right. Oh, yeah, I got to remember. If you are looking for Miss Josie Roy and our political warm up for 2022, we will be here very shortly. I'm trying to work some logistics out with Miss Roy. Remember, we got to, for all the brothers and sisters, we want to keep them healthy. I need them in the fight. I told somebody this the other day. In fact, I was on the bus yesterday. I was on the 13 bus going up to Tri-State Mall, going all the way out to Pennsylvania. And I told him, he said, "Yeah, man, I remember you on television. I see you on social media and all that other stuff." He said, man, yeah, man, you getting that crowd up? I said, "Listen, man, 90% of my crew, 90% of the crew of the Hard Talk with Jakim, 90% of the DIN media, 90% of Delaware Info Now, the crew, the people that back me, haven't been born yet. Because a lot of you don't get it. A lot of you is scared." I refer to the Bible there with Moses in the promised land when God said, "Listen, a lot of you older folks, y'all not coming because y'all trapped in foolishness." So let me just give you this real quick, y'all. This brother breaks it down. In fact, I want you to see we have a lot of folks that watch us in Pennsylvania. I love Pennsylvania because you know what? I'm a New York boy, I'm a Brooklyn boy, but one thing I like about Pennsylvania, they know real from fake. Oh, they got a lot of fake there too. They got a lot of sellouts. They got a lot of buck dancers, but they also know real. And let me tell you what this lady.
Because when I get on a plane, I don't expect the airline to tell me they have a few bad apples on the flight crew. Or when I go to the emergency room, I don't expect the doctors to tell me there's a few bad apples working in the emergency room that day. And so the citizens of Pennsylvania do not expect from their law enforcement to have a few bad apples serving their communities.
All right, y'all. Yeah, oh man, that sister was breaking it down, y'all. And listen, I got one for you later on. I'm gonna play something for you, and I don't usually play political commercials. Believe you me, the one that you saw with Sharpton is really not a political commercial, more than it is a cultural commercial. But I'm going to play something for you a little bit later on about a man running for office in North Carolina. North Carolina. That's, I got a lot of folks from, my peoples are from North Carolina. Oh, well, I don't want to say the North Carolina because that sounds so, I don't know. But I'll say North Carolina. All right, so I got a lot of family still down in North Carolina. I'm going to play this for you, but I'm not going to play it now. I'm going to play it very shortly. First, I want to get to Dave Chapelle. All right, so Dave Chapelle had his latest comedy thing, and if you know Dave Chappelle's comedy, Dave Chapelle was always, if you know who he was always like saying some political thing in his comedy. Just like most of the great comics, whether it be Richard Pryor or George Carlin or any of these other great comedians, and of course, one of the greatest of all, Mr. Dick Gregory, they always had a little tinge of political in it because politics control a lot of stuff in our society. It is cultural, it affects a lot of things. Well, Dave Chappelle has a Netflix comedy special, The Closer. And if you have not watched it, I want you to watch it and judge for yourself whether his comments were what they call, and I don't have my other hand is over here, so I'm just going to give you one air quote, politically correct stuff or anything like that. Or this is, I just want you to check it out for yourself and then, answer the question, was he politically correct in his stuff? I'm going to tell you something about so-called cancel culture. Let me give y'all something. Cancel culture has always existed in the United States. Did you hear what I'm saying? It's nothing new. And if you're black folk, you knew it. If you were Hispanic, you knew it. Or Latino, you knew it. If you was Native American, you knew it. If you were Pakistani, you knew it. If you were a white person and you loved any one of those people I just mentioned, you knew it. Cancel culture is not going anywhere. Cancel culture has always been here. So don't start up with this, against cancel culture. It is what it is. I don't call it a cancel culture. I call it accountability. And if you bow to that pressure because of what you said, and that's what you at, you're like the sharks that are swimming in the dirty water. That's all. Cancel culture will always be here because advertisers will always say what they want to advertise or want to put their money on. If you are on a show and you say something stupid, the advertisers can pull their money. And if you don't know that makes the world go round, then I don't know what to tell you. So I want you to check out Dave Chappelle's Netflix, The Closer, and see for yourself. As far as cancel culture has always been here, is always going to be here. Whether it's money or political influence or whatever power, there you go. So again, let me just give you this. I did say I was going to talk just a little briefly about HBCU funding and Biden. So, Miss Vice President Kamala Harris had a meeting with some of the members of the Divine Nine. And if you don't know, the Divine Nine is the sororities, the fraternities, most of them black. I think 100% of them black. Divine Nine this week. And there's been some rumblings from some people who are HBCU alumni saying that Kamala Harris, the vice president, has not, and the Biden administration has not gone far enough in their fundings for historical black colleges or universities, HBCUs. Now I've got a mixed feeling about that. I got a mixed feeling because anybody who feeds you, and y'all know what I'm getting ready to go at. I don't want to get biblical on you. I'm not gonna break out no Quran and no Torah and no what's the Buddhist Bhagavad Gita or Hindu. I'm not gonna break any of those down. But if they feed you, they can starve you. And since historically in the United States, black folks have been on the lower rung of economics in this country. Let's be honest. We ain't going to mince any words. We've been on a lower rung. A lot of that funding initially came from other places. And then slowly but surely, the government was doing the funding. Now, I want everybody who hearing me to go back in history and go and find out these historical black colleges and universities, HBCUs, how they were started in the first place and why. Go back and find out why. And then I'm going to throw something to y'all. I'm going to throw a term that you probably have not heard. And if you're in your 40s, maybe 50s, you heard this. But if you're younger than it, you probably never heard it. Tomcatting. There's a lot of people out here, men, mostly white men, that don't know how many black children they have. No. I know what you're going to say. You're going to say, there's a lot of black men out here that don't know what they're. No. We're talking about tomcatting. And we're talking about historical black colleges and how they got started and funded. And then we're going to bring it back to today. You know, I don't like looking at the past always. I say we got to bring it back to the future. Back to the future. So if once you see that, and you see that every other university, no matter what race they are, they could be the Notre Dames, the Brigham Youngs, the Church of Latter-day Saints, the Mormons, and all that, doesn't matter. If you totaled up all the funding from all the HBCUs in the United States, they still won't compare to the Harvards, the Brigham Youngs, the Notre Dames, the Browns, the Stanford, whatever they're getting. So now, because our vice president is from a historical black college and, historical black college and university, and a member of one of the Divine Nine, they believe we should get more money for HBCU funding. Now, like I said, I'm mixed on this one, so I do want y'all to give me some, because I have some things that I want to say about it, and I have some other stuff that I want to say. But I really want you to get in contact with me during the week at btom6164. That's btom6164 at gmail.com. And tell me what you feel about this whole thing. If you don't want to do it that way, you always can get us on Instagram and Twitter at The Real Jakim. Instagram and Twitter at The Real Jakim. One word, at The Real Jakim. So we're going to talk about HBCU fundings, and we're going to talk about their historical meaning in the black community. Yeah, we're going to talk about a little bit of the Spelmans and the Howards and the Morehouse and the Bethune, Clark, Cook. We're going to talk about those. We're going to talk about the Cheneys at Delaware State University, and especially Delaware State University. Oh, I saw a post of Mr. Tony Allen. If you live in Delaware, I saw a post of Mr. Tony Allen that our president made him the HBCU czar, I guess. Hit me up on btom6164 at gmail.com or at The Real Jakim on Instagram or Facebook. So we talked about HBCUs. We talked about Dave Chapelle. We talked about Wilmington, Delaware, taking people's cars and the terrible city government they have in Wilmington, Delaware. Look, I'm not talking about all of the city government there, and I shouldn't even have to say this. For you immature people out there, this is the reason why I got to say stuff, because you immature people would say, oh, my God, he's talking about. No. There's about 4 or 5 people in city government and that are doing fantastic jobs. The rest of them are stumble bums. All right, so we're going to also get into, you know where I was going to go. I was going to go over there. Let me ask you a question, y'all. Do you think slaves were taken from Africa? Put your hands up if you believe slaves were taken from Africa. I know we ain't getting into CRT because you know that's the big thing. If it's about the masking your children and CRT, boy, you could rattle people up. Do you believe that slaves were taken from Africa? Now, if you had your hand up saying that slaves were taken from Africa, you are nincompoop. You are numbskull. People were taken from Africa, not slaves. People were taken from Africa, not slaves. And let me give you something about language. It is important. It is way we communicate. Let me hit this over here. These people were not slaves. I don't care what you read in the Bible. They were not slaves. They were enslaved. So I did tell you I was going to do this. I want you to pay attention to this. I ran across this week about this gentleman, and this is for North Carolina. And I don't endorse a lot of political people. We have 2 or 3 out of 64 in our House of Chambers here in our House with Delaware, House of Representatives, House of Senate. There's only 3 or 4 good ones down there. The rest of them are stumble bums, like I told you before. But if we had somebody like this here, we would be better in Delaware. Let me tell you what.
When I was a young boy, the KKK announced a night rally in my home county. A cross burning with hundreds of Klansmen to terrorize the blacks and Lumbee. We were a poor farming community, black, white, and Indian. My parents and grandparents were sharecroppers like many. The police chief warned the Grand Dragon, "These people don't want your trouble." The Klansmen called us mongrels, half-breeds, and told him the Klan would show him how to handle people like us. That night they rode in with their cars, their crosses, and a single light bulb hooked to a car battery. 50 Klansmen. Not a bad turnout on a cold night. Problem is, they were surrounded by 400 Lumbees. Simeon Oxendine had been a tail gunner in a B-29 during the war. Verdia Locklear was 4 months pregnant. Neil Lowry was the local barber. Hundreds of normal folks deciding to stand together against ignorance and hate. Lowry shot out the light. The Klansmen scattered. By the time the sheriff arrived to fish them out of the swamp, the press was running with the story. The Battle of Hayes Pond, where one town beat the Klan. A piece of forgotten history, worth remembering, especially today. In Washington, lies turned to violence. And the biggest lie is that America is at war with itself.
Now, I just wanted to give you a taste of that commercial. I ran into that commercial this week. It's trending on Twitter. It's trending on Instagram. Actually, it's making its rounds. And I never heard of the Lumbee Native Americans. And I'm sure you probably haven't either. So, I had to look into it. And listen, the Lumbees were white, black, Native American looking, Hispanic looking. They were all mixed up down there. And that's what you call the real melting pot. Now, of course, he said something about the forgotten history. That's what CRT is about. And that's why they're fighting it so hard. They fighting it because they don't want you to remember. They want you to forget. They want you to say, "Oh, my Lord, this is made up history." No, it is what it is. There's a reason why black kids can be taught black history, but we don't want white kids to be taught black history or history that include black. I always hated that black history. I think history that included black folk because they don't want you to know what some of their ancestors did. That's what it's all about. All right, y'all. So listen, I told some people that support black businesses, and remember, If you want to get in contact with us, get in contact at btom6164@gmail.com. That's btom6164@gmail.com, or on Instagram and Twitter at therealjakim.com. So at therealjakim. So listen, the other thing that they wanted you to know or wanted you not to know is all the stuff that was done in your local town, in your local state, in your local community. They don't want you to know that. They don't want you to understand it, because if you understood it, you will understand why the conditions are what they are, why they are where they are. And this is not about a party thing. Black folks, get off the party. The party ain't helping you. The party is part of the people that are keeping you down. They all part and parcel together. What I want you to do is think about the collective uplift of your community. What I want you to do is think about the collective uplift. It's lies, lies, lies all day, and it don't matter what party. If you think the Tim Scotts, the Larry Elders, the Herschel Walkers, the Candace Owens are the only buffoons out there because they're conservative, because they're Republican, then you're foolish. There's a lot of buffoons out there that are called so-called progressive liberals. They're also the buffoons. We got them on both sides. The conservatives, they showing you exactly what you can't be more foolish than Larry Elders. You can't be more foolish than Herschel Walker. Or you know what? We got one on the Supreme Court, Clarence Thomas. You can't be more foolish than him until you see them on the progressive side. Oh, we got a lot of those progressive fools out here too, wanting white favor, ready to stick up for their cause, but wouldn't stick up for a black cause. Or maybe come out to be the black face, to be the one of the fantastic movie, if you have never seen it, Spook that sat behind the door. Maybe that's what they're. But you know, I digress. Let me just give you this. Again, if you are one of those people that have been passed upon and you thought, oh my God, if I had that chance or if I had that opportunity, no. All I want you to do is keep plugging away. I'm going to talk about something else on Netflix. The Squid Game. The Squid Games. Now, if you have not watched the Squid Games, and I really didn't watch all of it, I read a bunch of it, and you know, it's Korean theater, and you know, it's theater, what they call it, you know, in the music they call it K-pop. Now they call it a K-drama or something. This is now the highest watched Netflix show, The Squid Games. It's a lot of killing. It's a lot of murdering. There's a little bit of caste in there and class stuff. But I will tell you this. That guy kept pushing on. He was going for 10 years to try to get this TV or this movie made, and no studio wanted it. No studio wanted it. 10 years. He had to sell his laptop. Go check it out. Go check out the guy who was the writer and the creator of the Squid Games. Go check out his story. It's pretty uplifting because you have to go through the muck to get to the other side. And luckily for him, he did not always go for the first opportunity. Sometimes the first opportunity is not for you because the Lord, I always say that the Lord has something else for you. They want you to do something else that's greater, that's better. Let me let you hear Mr. Kobe Bryant, the late Mr. Kobe Bryant, about when he went out to the LA Clippers to work out. This is what Kobe Bryant said.
I had a really good workout with the Clippers, and they told me, they said, you know, this is the best workout we ever seen. So I'm like, oh man, I'm excited. I'm gonna come to LA. I said, all right, so you're gonna draft me? No.
No. That's what makes them the Clippers.
Well, I asked them why. I said, listen, for me, as a kid in Philadelphia, you've had like the horrible winters. You know, I'm excited to come out to LA, palm trees and all that, right? So I asked them why wouldn't they draft me? They said, well, we want to turn things around with our organization. And we felt like if we drafted the 17-year-old kid, then the city of Los Angeles wouldn't take us seriously. And so they said, we can't draft you.
They always make the best decisions.
Oh man, dude, that was so much motivation.
So again, here's when Kobe Bryant came out, top prospect, top high school student, top prospect even for college. But he didn't go to college originally. He went from high school to the Lakers. And he had a great workout, and they fed him all the stories. You know the story. You're so good. They soup up your head. You're so fantastic. And then they told him, well, since you were 17 years old, and they wouldn't take it seriously and blah, blah, blah. And Kobe was hurt by that. You could tell he was hurt by that. And guess what happened? Here come the Lakers. L.A., better franchise, better thing, better historic history in sports entertainment. You're hard pressed to get anything more historic than, it's like the Boston Celtics and the New York Yankees and of course the LA Lakers. These historic sports things, and he got a better deal. And he was with the LA Lakers, and he was able to get championships with the LA Lakers. The person who signed and said pass on Kobe Bryant for the LA Clippers should be ran out of town if they still living. Because you got to say to yourself, man, you didn't recognize that talent? And that's where I'm going to end tonight with y'all. Talent. Some people cannot recognize talent no matter how much you put it in their face. They will never recognize your talent. They will never recognize what you bring to the table. Don't worry about it. Be like Kobe Bryant, like I just showed you the clip. Kobe said he had a great workout. They loved him at the LA Clippers. Loved him. But would not draft him because he was 17 years old. And lo and behold, the Lakers said, we'll take him. We know what talent is. We know where it goes. And it's just like that in your own communities. That's just like that in your own households or in your own family. They don't recognize talent. Don't stop. Don't give up. Don't quit. Because if it takes you 4 or 5 years, you're going to make it if you got the talent. That's what Kobe just told you. I'm sure that's what Fresh Prince. Look, when I was growing up, I love rapping. Love to lay down the lyrics, y'all. I ain't going to bring no old school rap over here, but it's better than a mumbles rap. If you believe old school rap is better than mumble rap, give me a like button, put your hands up, whatever you say. You got that right, Jakim. You were damn right about that. Okay, but let me just say this. A lot of people can never recognize talent because they are envious of that talent. And a lot of them are in your household. A lot of them are in your family unit. And like I always say, I don't call all my family family. I have relatives and I have family. Relatives is by blood. I have family that is by spirit. You hear me what I'm saying? You heard me tell about Miss Josie Roy here in Delaware. I consider her family. That's my spiritual. That's my spiritual sister. And this is important for it. Understand this. People may not recognize your talent because they are jealous of your talent. Do you understand this? When Kobe Bryant said that he had a great workout for the LA Clippers, you heard the clip. I played the clip there. When he said he had a great workout with the LA Clippers, LA Clippers last in the league. They had a great first-round draft pick at that time, and they passed on Kobe Bryant. Lord knows I have had this in football. You know, I'm a big fan of football. I've brought my NFL down ever since Pat Kaepernick. But, you know, I also like to. This happens all the time in football. It happens all the time in baseball. It happens all the time in jobs. Jobs. You go to, and most of your jobs now don't have HR departments. Most of the jobs have somebody else doing the filling it out. In fact, what I heard lately is they making you fill out your paperwork. Now, the game has changed, but the more it changes, the more it stays the same. But okay, this person was not promoted because they didn't recognize their talent. This person was not given a supervisory position or a management position because they didn't recognize their talent. This person, don't worry about it. It wasn't meant for you. Something bigger is on the other side. Something better is on the other side. Something worthwhile is on the other side. So, y'all, I had a lot to say this week. Didn't mean to come on here so long this week, but I will say this. Make sure you hit me up on the Hard Talk with Jakim on Facebook, or you can get me at btom6164@gmail.com. That's btom6164@gmail.com. Also at The Real Jakim on Twitter and on Instagram. Of course, check us out. Subscribe to Delaware Info Now. This show will be on in 24 hours from there. Let me just hit you up one more time with that gentleman that's running, and he's a representative down in North Carolina. He's a Native American. I'm just going to hit you up with a piece, and then I hit you off with Kobe. I'm going to leave it with Brother Kobe.
When I was a young boy, the KKK announced a night rally in my home county. A cross burning with hundreds of Klansmen to terrorize the blacks and Lumbee. We were a poor farming community, black, white, and Indian. My parents and grandparents were sharecroppers like many. The police chief warned the Grand Dragon, "These people don't want your trouble." The Klansmen called us mongrels, half-breeds, and told him the Klan would show him how to handle people like us. That night they rode in with their cars, their crosses, and a single light bulb hooked to a car battery. 50 Klansmen. Not a bad turnout on a cold night. Problem is, they were surrounded by 400 Lumbees. Simeon Oxendine had been a tail gunner in a B-29 during the war. Verdia Locklear was 4 months pregnant. Neil Lowry was the local barber. Hundreds of normal folks deciding to stand together against ignorance and hate. Lowry shot out the light. The Klansmen scattered. By the time the sheriff arrived to fish them out of the swamp, the press was running with the story. The Battle of Hayes Pond, where one town beat the Klan. A piece of forgotten history.
I had a really good workout with the Clippers, and they told me, they said, you know, this is the best workout we ever seen. So I'm like, oh man, I'm excited. I'm gonna come to LA. I said, all right, so you're gonna draft me? No.
No. That's what makes them the Clippers.
Well, I asked them why. I said, listen, for me, as a kid in Philadelphia, you've had like the horrible winters. You know, I'm excited to come out to LA, palm trees and all that, right? So I asked them why wouldn't they draft me? They said, well, we want to turn things around with our organization. And we felt like if we drafted the 17-year-old kid, then the city of Los Angeles wouldn't take us seriously. And so they said,
you heard that? Yeah, don't let rejection get you down. Keep on pushing through, y'all. Keep on keeping on. That is the motto of what we do here at the Hard Talk with Jakim. We talk about the truth. We expose the lies, and we make sure that you don't give up on yourself. So I don't want you to have that champagne taste on that beer budget, but I do want you to start saving, and I want you to start investing. So let me, from my people to your people, from my house to your house, let me just say, be good to each other, and listen, rock your purpose. This has been the Hard Talk with Jakim show. Peace out, my family.